Hi everyone, this is Carol Keller, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Antioch, Illinois in the US, here with a card that I made using the Hydrangea Hill Suite of products, and I wanted to share it with you. I've been working with this suite of products for the past couple of weeks and really enjoying it. It's my favorite color palette, and the dies and the stamps are gorgeous. So without further ado, I will turn my camera around so that we can get started. First of all, let me show you quickly the beautiful products that are part of this suite. The first is the Hydrangea Haven Photopolymer Stamp Set, along with the companion hydrangea dies. I have gotten lots of use out of these, and we will be using some today for the project. Another part of the suite is the Hydrangea Hill Designer Series paper, and as I said before, it's my absolute favorite color palette. The designs are just beautiful, and let me show you the reverse. Here is the other side that of course coordinates. We also have, as part of the suite, the Hydrangea Hill Mercury Glass Designer Acetate. It comes with 2 sheets in Highland Heather and 2 in Rococo Rose, and this is one pattern. And this is the other one that each color comes in. We also have the Gorgeous Grape Sheer Ribbon and the beautiful pastel pearls that come also in coordinating colors: Gorgeous Grape, Seaside Spray, Highland Heather, and Rococo Rose. All right, and here is the card we are going to create today. Each one will look a little different depending on the section of Designer Series paper that you've used, but I am going to create one that looks just like this. So the first thing that I've done is to cut a piece of the Designer Series paper that's the same size as the card front. So that works, of course, whether you have an A2 or an A4 card. And then I'm going to cut a length of ribbon just wider than the width of the card front. And we're going to adhere it to the back with glue dots. So that we will hide the ends in the back. And now I've just put some multi-purpose liquid glue on the back, and we will adhere the card to the card front. Okay, next let's do some stamping. I have a couple of scraps in Rococo Rose and Highland Heather for the sentiments on the front, and we're going to stamp in Gorgeous Grape. And for the thank you, we have to decide which way it's going to go before we cut it out, but I'll explain that in a minute. And the other sentiment says, "I appreciate all the little things you do." And you do want to remember when you cut it out to move the die to one side or the other, so that we'll have room for some baker's twine. So I'm thinking that I am going to want to have the tag hanging from this side and hanging in this direction. So I'm going to go cut those out and be right back. All right, and I've cut those out. We'll put those aside and we'll finish our stamping. We are going to do one of the little flower groupings on the inside corners of the card. Again, just using the Gorgeous Grape. And another one on the front left corner of the envelope. So I like to make sure they're finished off. And that is all our stamping. And for the next part, we're going to assemble our tag using the Blushing Bride Baker's Twine from the Snail Mail Twine Combo Pack. The easiest way to do it is to put a glue dot or 2 on the back to hold the twine down as you wrap it. And that will help hold it in place. So a couple of glue dots on the back. and leave a tail for tying a knot. Wrap it around a few times. And then snip the end and tie a knot. And before you do the knot, you're going to attach your smaller tag, and that's why the angle is important. I'm doing it the opposite of the way I did it here. So we want to be able to read our sentiment. And so it's going to hang this way. And then we tie our knot. And then trim the ends. And for the next part, I have die cut the stem, the detailed stem in Mossy Meadow. And then the background one, I cut out using the die that cuts out the flower and the leaves, and we're just going to trim off the top. This is Old Olive, and this, as I said, is Mossy Meadow. The easiest way to get it off is to use your Take Your Pick tool and put it almost parallel just to grab the end. So that you can just pull the whole thing off. And generally the insides come off with them, but if not, like these, you can poke them out with your finger or your Take Your Pick tool. And the easiest way to do it is to lay them on the leaves one at a time to line them up. 1, 2, 3, and then put your stem in place. And then we will snip off the excess. And once you have your die cut, we will place it, decide where we're going to place it on the card. I have also already die cut the detailed bloom that has scoring and embossing in there so that we can make that more dimensional, which I will show you in a moment. And one thing to note is if the little centers of the flowers do not come out on your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, you can poke them out with your Take Your Pick tool. And we'll get those out of the way. But basically you want to decide where you're going to place your flower, and then obviously the stem and the leaf go underneath. I'd say that's going to look pretty good. This one already has, I used 2 sheets, 2 adhesive sheets, so it's easy just to peel it off. And we're going to place just the top part of the leaves down. We're going to slide the bottom under the ribbon and place it about here, because that's where our flower is going to go. But before we make sure that this is adhered, we're going to slip some ribbon underneath. So I'm going to take some more of the Gorgeous Grape ribbon and tie a bow. And I like to work off the roll, so hopefully I'll be able to do this on camera. If you don't want to tie a bow, which some people don't, you can always tie a knot. But I think a bow looks very nice on this project. And I'm just pulling it till I get the size bow I would like, and then we're going to snip the end at an angle. And give it a twist. Again, I want to make sure it's nice and tight. There we go. And then once I've done that, I'm going to slip the stem back underneath the bottom ribbon and adhere the rest of the stem and the leaf. And to keep the bow in place, it's good to take your pick tool and roll up a glue dot and slip it underneath, and that will keep it in place. Whoops. And one on the other side. And no one will be the wiser, but it will keep that bow in place and from being able to be pulled. And for the next part, for our flower, like I said, it has been die cut so that little petals can be brought up with your fingernail, or you take your pick tool, but I like using my fingernail for this. So all you're going to do is pull them up, and I'm going to do this off camera, and I will be back in a moment for the next step. Okay, and now that we have everything popped up, we are going to take Stampin' Dimensionals and pop it up on the card. And we could leave it like that, but we are going to add actually another layer. The dies come with a strip of flowers, 9 flowers that can be cut out all at once. And I'm going to bring some of them in. I have cut them in several different colors. I'm going to bring them in along with my silicone craft sheet. I have some in Purple Posy, some in Highland Heather, some in Rococo Rose, and some in Seaside Spray, because we are going to cover the flowers as I did here. The easiest way to do it is to bend the flowers up with your fingernails again to give them dimension and to make them easier to work with. And we'll do some of the Highland Heather. And then we're going to turn them over. We'll move these out of the way for the moment so that I can illustrate. You're going to take a dot of multi-purpose liquid glue and put it on each flower, on the back side of each flower. Just a dot is all you need. It will hold it really well once it dries on the card. The easiest way that I found to put them on the card is to take your pick tool to pick it up and then flip it over. And I basically just went around the card or around the top of the bloom, I should say, and placed them like this. Just kind of press them in with your finger. It takes a minute or two for the glue to dry completely. And this just adds another layer of dimension, and it helps to hide the dimensionals so that no one sees them peeking out from underneath. I will put the rest of the flowers on and I will return in a moment. All right, and now that I've got all the flowers adhered, and I will tell you it's easiest to start, I'm left-handed, I started from right to left so that they're drying without my hand being in the way, because it does take a few minutes. And then for this next part, I'm mimicking what's on the card that you can see a little bit here. The centers of some of these are darker. So I'm going to use a Q-tip to add some color. So I'm starting with Seaside Spray, again working from right to left and just dabbing it in there and then dabbing the centers of each of the flowers. Again, that gives it a little more depth and dimension. Next, we'll do the Gorgeous Grape. And you do want to make sure your Q-tip is not too thick. This one's a little bit thick, so I'm using a lighter hand because I don't want a big glop of ink. I just want a little bit of color in the center. And I can even use not only the ones that are popped up, but some of the ones that are on the base of the actual bloom. I'd say that looks pretty good. And then we've got a couple more over here peeking on the top, peeking out from the back. And Rococo Rose. And I have Highland Heather for the Purple Posy flowers. The other thing that this does help to do is to help them adhere to the card if they aren't already. And then once they're dry, you can again pop up some of the petals if you would like to make them a little more dimensional. And in the meantime, we're also going to add some sparkle with Wink of Stella. And to complete the bling, our pastel pearls. And I basically matched up the colors. So the darker purple on the center of the big bloom, Rococo Rose, and the center of the Rococo Rose bloom, and Highland Heather on the purple posy side. And then all we have to do is attach our tag with some dimensionals and our card will be complete. Don't forget to put a dimensional on the smaller tag because we want it to hold in place. And there we go, our card is complete. And like I said, we can also pull up some of these to make them more dimensional. Especially once they're dry, they're easy enough to manipulate. Thanks so very much for watching today. Come back again soon. If you want to be notified when I post a video, just subscribe to my channel and then click on the little bell. If you don't have a demonstrator, I would be happy to be yours, so contact me if you need a demonstrator, and I will see you again soon. Again, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.